Hey, this is Kent Jones with Jones and Associates in Cleveland, Tennessee. We're at 1441 Guthrie Drive, Northwest, Suite 101. We cover mostly Cleveland and Chattanooga, but occasionally we go into other areas like McMinn, Monroe, and Polk County. Um, I'm going through a book on personal injury law that we wrote in 2015 and updated. And right now it's going to talk about what's I've labeled Chapter 6. It's on car accidents, and I'm going to try to get a little more specific than I have earlier on things that you should do if you are in a car auto accident. I think in previous discussions we've covered what you should do immediately after an accident, but there are quite a few things that you need to keep in mind. You're going to want to get all the information that you can, the person you hit, their insurance company, their name and address and anything like that, and especially those statements from witnesses that are around that are willing to give them. If you're able to take photographs of the scene of the accident, do so, and if you're not, call someone that you know and have them do that. The next thing, couple things you need to do kind of simultaneously. First thing is go to the ER and get a complete workup. A lot of reasons for that. I think I initially said because it provides a touchstone of where you are medically at that particular point in time, and that's true. But what a lot of people don't realize is that the pain and ramifications of an accident can surface, and often do surface, days after the accident occurs, and sometimes months after an accident occurs, and that's why you need to have the ER do their traditional workup, which usually will include physical examination, X-rays, MRIs, and CT scans if necessary. And if they feel like it, they'll refer you to a specialized physician for the type of injury that you have. It's imperative that you do that, so don't leave that out, because if you do, then it's hard for anybody to go back and tell what really you looked like from a medical perspective right after the accident. If you have good auto insurance, particularly comprehensive collision and liability and all of that, it hopefully should take care of everything, especially if you're at fault. If the other person's at fault, you're going to look to their policy. It's helpful to hire an attorney, your responsibility would ordinarily be the limits of your insurance policy, but if you have a lot of assets, then a good attorney can get into those and get more money if the damages are worth more. And likewise, if you have an attorney, you can do the same thing if the other party is at fault. Unless there is, a problem with liability, and we talked earlier about comparative fault matters, the McIntyre versus Valentine case. Defendants are responsible for their percentage. You recover if you were less at fault than they were, or it was, or he or she was rather. That's kind of how that process works. Sometimes these accidents can be resolved fairly quickly. It depends on many aspects. If liability is disputed, there'll probably be depositions getting into that part of the claim. If you're seriously injured and have a lot of medical treatment, that's going to take a considerable period of time before you get into medical proof on your losses from the car accident. And, when I say car accident, I'm really generically referring to a vehicle accident. It could be a motorcycle accident. It could be a trucking accident. They get a little different because trucking companies have different policies and assets, and often cause a lot more damage. These cases, especially with a normal amount of medical treatment. Normal's kind of a generic word for it, but they'll run out 6 or 8 more months until the medical treatment's done, and you've negotiated back and forth with the lawyer for the insurance company. Don't ever talk to the insurance company yourself without your lawyer being a buffer between you and them. You may make admissions that you don't need to. You'll get probably at the beginning of or the beginning stages of an accident a number of letters from a number of people wanting a number of things, and I would not recommend just disclosing everything that's asked for without talking to your attorney first, and have him or her do that. If your damages are minor, very minor, you can file in General Sessions Court, which has jurisdiction for cases under $25,000. However, you don't have a shot at a jury unless that case is appealed to circuit court. Most of these cases are filed in circuit court, where you do demand a jury. And traditional elements are an allegation of negligence, documentation of injuries and expenses, consortium claim if you have a spouse, and other things can fall into this, but we're going to try to do a Cliff's Note version of it right now. You do have a right to be made whole, but sometimes that's not always possible if there's not much money in the policy or in the assets of the other side. The government itself is harder to sue than the average person. The government has protection under a doctrine known as government immunity. And government vehicles are covered by the Federal Tort Claims Act. So you got to look there. The exception to government immunity is vehicle liability when government employees are involved in car accidents, and this includes emergency vehicles, police cars, fire trucks, ambulances. It may involve non-emergency situations, and the government generally gives you between 30 and 180 days to file a claim. So if you listen to our series on on statutes of limitations, that's where you got to be careful, because it's going to be much shorter where you have to file with them than the traditional statutes, which are 1 year for personal injury and 3 years for property damage. Legally, the person that created the wreck does not have to pay for a rental car while your car is being repaired. However, it does occur in a lot of cases. You need to talk with your attorney and have them talk with the opposing attorney to find out if that particular coverage is going to be available to you. That's pretty much the end of our CliffsNote version of car accidents in the state of Tennessee. Again, we're located at 1441 Guthrie Drive, Northwest in Cleveland, at Suite 101. And landmark is, if you get off 75, come down 25th Street towards Keith, we're a couple blocks down on the right behind the Burger King. We're in the Heritage office building. It's a big white building. In the next segment, we're going to get into what I call premises liability or slip and fall injuries, and how they are treated legally. Thank you for watching, and if you have any questions, email us at kjoneslawyers@gmail.com or call area code 423-446-1004. Goodbye.